Okay, so over the past year, I have developed a love for a new sport. Yeah, it's called hockey. Hockey, yeah, any hockey fans in the house? Nice. Well, so the last year or so, I've had the privilege of leading some of the chapels for the Houston Aeros. That's our hockey team here, for those that didn't know. And it's been a great joy. But over that time, I've started to develop a love for hockey. Growing up, never really was too much of a hockey guy. I played a little roller hockey, but I found out quickly that doesn't count in Canada. But I played a little roller hockey. But other than that, that was it. And so basketball, football, they were kind of my sports. So when I met these guys, I started just kind of tuning into the game because it was really awkward to get up there and talk to them. They'd be like, it's kind of like hockey. Never mind, because I know nothing about hockey, So I tried to do my research and relate with them a little bit better. But what I found out is, man, going to the games, there is just nothing like it. I mean, you roll up to the Toyota Center, and it's just this massive place in the first place. Where the Rockets plays, it's just this huge place, and there's all these people. And what's cool is you're walking in, and minus the few people that are cheering for the other team, like you're all united, right? Like it or not, whether they stink or they're cool, you're united because we're all cheering for the same team. And so there's just nothing like it. And then you walk up kind of up the big stairs and you come across, it's almost like just the gates are just opening. And then you see this bright white light, which is the ice. And the cool wind just brushes over your head. Man, there's just nothing like it. And then the game starts, right? And if you're a girl, you cheer for the goals. And if you're a guy, you cheer for the fights. And it's just intense, and people are checking, and the wall looks like it's about to break, the puck's flying, and you're glad it's not you. And so as I'm sitting there, though, over the course of a few games and a few months, I started thinking, hey, I remember when I first hit the ice, and I skated. And I was good, because I didn't fall, right? And so I thought, man, I've been watching these guys. I think I could do that. I think I could lace up, put on the jersey and whatever other pads they have on underneath, and I think I could hit the ice, and I think I could hang just for 10 seconds. Now, don't get too excited because it didn't happen, and it's not going to. But the point is, yesterday, that all changed. Because I was sitting in with the chapel, with the guys doing the chapel, and in walked, first of all, I've made friends with a couple of the guys, specifically Matt and Colton, which most of you guys have met. They come here. They're off flying away to a game tonight, but they're usually here. But I've made friends with these guys. But then, yesterday, my friend Colton Gillies, he walks into chapel, and I look up, and here's his big smiling face. His tooth is gone. Right? You got a picture there, okay? It was there last week. It's not there now. And so I looked at him, and there actually I was sent another one this morning. Apparently Matt has now broken his nose as of last night, but I saved y'all the grossness of that. But anyway, so I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at him, and it dawned on me that I don't think I can do it anymore. And here's why. Man, if I were to lace up, put the skates on, put my jersey on, there would be some fame that would come with that, right? I would be a Houston Aero. I could walk into it, not really, but maybe I could walk in and get a free meal. But there's some fame. There's some glory that comes with that. When I check that fool, man, everyone's cheering for me. There's some glory that comes with that. But yesterday, I discovered that there's some pain that comes with that too. Matter of fact, there's a lot of pain that comes with that. And it dawned on me that, man, when you join anything, when you play for a sports team, when you join a club at school, when you dive into a relationship, when you join a company, you become a part of that place. And so the joys that come with that, they're yours too. The success that comes with that, it's yours too. But guess what? The problems that they have now become your problems. The challenges that they had now become your challenges. And it dawned on me that our walk with Christ is the same way. It's the same way. When we become believers, man, there is a great, it's incredible. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it. But with the joy also comes the trials. And with the trials come the fight. And the truth is, when we become believers in Christ, there is an unshakable, inescapable fight that takes place between us and Satan. And that's the truth. That's the truth. When we become a believer, like it or not, you have become his worst enemy. And he wants to do anything and everything to bring you down. And so tonight, my goal is for us to walk together and look at some ways that we can better prepare ourselves for this inescapable, this unshakable fight. And I'm going to start tonight by reading you out of Psalms 18. If you have a Bible, you can open up there. We're going to camp out there for the night. But Psalms 18, we're going to start in verse 1, and then we'll dive in a little deeper. But it starts with this. This is King David talking. This is after a brief history. David had an incredible life. We've talked about him many times here before. If you're visiting with us, just a quick recap. This guy became king. This super quick recap. He became king. He was a very good musician of all things. He was a leader and a musician. But he became the musician for King Saul. And King Saul just loved this guy. He would have him come play for him whenever. It would be awesome for us to experience that one day when we could just have Brett on standby to call and say, hey, I need you to play for me this morning because I'm feeling down. That'd be awesome, but we don't have that. But King Saul did, and he had David doing this. But then somewhere along the way, King Saul became jealous of David. David was a humble man of God. He did a lot of things right. And so King Saul got jealous, and he started to attack David. He tried to attempt to kill him multiple times. And so this psalm is written after all that is ended. God has removed him from that terrible situation where someone's trying to kill him, and he is now celebrating what God has done for him. So here's our passage that starts like this. First words are beautiful. I love you, Lord. You are my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my Savior. My God is my rock in whom I find protection. He is my shield, the power that saves me, and my place of safety. I called on the Lord who is worthy of praise, and he saved me from my enemies. David feels like a champion. He is feeling good right now. Ever felt that way before? Ever felt safe? Felt excited? Intrigued about what's to come in life? Some of us, we've experienced that when we've received Christ for the first time. There is no greater joy in this world than that moment when you receive Christ. Some of you experienced it last week. I know quite a few of you guys in here got baptized. Man, nothing greater than that day. And that moment comes and you come out of the water and there is just this rush of, man, a new life I am pursuing. A new life I'm chasing for him. And there's nothing like it. But then what happens? Time starts to go. We kind of start to loosen up a little bit. The excitement, we never want to admit it, but it kind of starts to die down. And then we find ourselves being attacked. And this is where the fight begins. Because again, the truth is, when we become believers, we are under attack. The enemy will do and is trying to do anything and everything to bring you down. To bring you down. That's all he wants to do. And what's crazy is he attacks all areas of life. Some of you are in school right now. Man, you will be tempted sitting there. Let's back up. The night before, you know you should study. You know you should study. There is no reason why you shouldn't study. But that movie is so good, right? It wins an Oscar or Grammy or whatever. But it is worthy of whatever award there is because it is so good when the truth is it's just a little bit better than your homework. But it would be tempted, right? And he'll attack you and make you think, hey, that movie, don't worry about your test. Watch a movie and you're going to get all this knowledge and then you'll just pass your test. Or maybe it's worse, you're sitting in class and you're sitting in the front two rows because you know you've got to pay attention and everyone just distracts you because they all talk to you. You don't talk, of course, but they all talk to you. And so you always sit in the front row, but then somebody walks by that just catches your eye and you're like, yes, 8 plus 8, 6, whoa, wow. 24, yes, awesome, right? And we get distracted. We get distracted. Others of you, it's money. Man, money, it's your best friend, but it's your worst friend. You get that paycheck no matter how big or how small, and it's like fire in your hands. It can't go anywhere else but to buy something, right? Guys don't deal with this, but ladies, you know what I'm talking about. You get that money, and it's like, I must buy boots with this. There's boots written on it. I must have them. Or it's makeup, or it's your $200 on sale Michael Kors purse. Crazy. Others of you, it's dating, okay? Let's bring it in. I know you girls don't struggle with this whole money thing. But it's dating. You've been single for a whole week, and you cannot stand it anymore. Life is almost over. The moon is setting. Twilight's gone, and it's just, I'm alone. And so we'll jump into the next person or jump into the next relationship, the next person that crosses our path, because we can't stand the thought of being alone. Or maybe more seriously, you guys, we find ourselves in a situation with our boyfriend or girlfriend, and we knew we wouldn't get there. We knew we were going to be protected, but the next thing you know, you're sitting there on the couch and you're watching the movie, and there's nobody around, and the lights go down, and the love scene comes on, and it just sparks things in you that you weren't thinking an hour ago. He will attack and attack and attack every area of your life, but most importantly, the weakest. Most importantly, it's the weakest. My first point tonight is this. If we are going to stand firm in the fight, we must plan ahead. We must plan ahead. Ever been in speech class? And it's time to give your speech, but you forgot you were giving your speech. You don't have to raise your hand. I'll be the one to say I did it. And so you go, I got this, man. I've been alive 18, 19 years. Done. Yes, sir, my turn. And you get up there and you just ramble, and it's the worst thing. And people are falling asleep on the front row, and you haven't even said the first word. I mean, it's terrible, right? Because when we don't plan ahead and we don't prepare, it's a disaster. Some of you played sports, and you were jacking around on the sideline, you weren't paying attention to the coach, and then he throws you into the game, football's the worst, and he says, okay, run that play, and you're like, yeah, I got it. And so you line up, and you're supposed to go that way, but you go that way, and you get a word called decleated brought into your dictionary. Ladies, I'm sorry. That's when you get hit, and your cleats fall up and land on your back, okay? And so you start learning things that you didn't learn before. Why? Because we weren't prepared. It doesn't work out so well, does it? Understand, and this idea of being attacked, he is going to go after your weakest moment, and you must be prepared. Ladies, he is not going to tempt you to put your hand on the stove burner. But he will tempt you with that sale that you have to have. You get that? But if we don't prepare, we'll fall victim to it, right? But let's say you know it's Friday, I get paid today, there's a sale going on over there, I must separate myself. And so you get your paycheck and you take it straight to the bank. It's called planning ahead. Guys, for you, that's really hard, we just don't struggle. Just kidding. Maybe for you, sitting there with your girlfriend. No, let's not go there. Let's just move on. We must plan ahead, okay? We must plan ahead. Now, for some of us, that's easier said than done. Some of us, we were born planners. It's just natural in our DNA. You wake up and you know exactly every minute of the day. Others of you are more like I was growing up, fly by the seat of your pants. What happens? We end up in trouble, right? We end up in trouble in school. We end up in trouble in our relationships. We end up in trouble in our job because we don't plan ahead. Make no mistake about it. He will attack you, but if you plan ahead, we can be one step ahead of him. Doesn't mean you're going to win every fight, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we can be one step ahead. And when he comes to get you, you can say, ha, I was ready for you. I'm not going there alone with her. I'm not bringing that money with me to the store. I'm not going to school sleepy so I don't pay attention. If we plan ahead, we can get ahead of him. Does that make sense? Now, I want to put a little disclaimer in here and be really delicate with how I say this, but it is important that we understand that we don't mistake consequences for attacks. We cannot mistake consequences for attacks. Now, here's what I mean. Most of us in this room, but some of us maybe have experienced this. Most of us know someone that has, but experienced pregnancy at a very young age. okay? It's a terrible situation. I've been around it just being in ministry for many years. I grew up with a single mom. I have a heart for this. I understand that it is devastating. We created a class, we created a ministry specifically for this because we felt so deeply for this situation. But I want to use it because I know this is what they would say if they could tell you something. The attack was not the pregnancy. The attack was the moment you were tempted to have sex and you knew you shouldn't. The pregnancy was the consequence. So we can't get mad and say, man, the devil attacked me, I got pregnant. No, he didn't. He attacked you in the first place to tempt you to want to have sex. You got to be careful. You can't blame the devil for failing your test. You messed up when you didn't study in the first place. Do you see? And so some of us, we kind of jump to the end and we think, well, the bad stuff that's happened, it's because, man, the devil did this to me. No, he attacked you earlier. The consequences are what come with that. And so it's just a little disclaimer, but I think it's important that we understand that, okay? Because this is vital. You cannot mistake consequences for attacks. But I'm going to read you this passage, and I'm going to show you that there's grace. David, continuing to write in verse 16, he says, talking about God, he reached down from heaven and rescued me. He drew me out of the deep waters. He rescued me from my powerful enemies, those who hated me and were too strong for me. They attacked me at a moment when I was in distress, but the Lord supported me. He led me to a place of safety. He rescued me, and because he delights in me. He rescued me because he delights in me. The truth is, none of us in this room are going to be perfect. We are all going to fall to sin because we're human. And so I don't want you to hear the consequences part and freak out because you're in a bad spot. There's grace. David is writing to God saying, thank you for reaching down and pulling me out of the junk. What's beautiful about our God, no matter what situation you're in, no matter where you're at, is that he takes the junk. He pulls us out of it, and he turns all this stuff that should be trash, that should be wrong, and he turns it into things for his glory. Because that's how our God works. There is grace, and you need to know that tonight. My second point for us is if we are going to stand firm in this fight, we must stick together. We must stick together. My biggest attack when I became a believer, I graduated high school. I was going to Lone Star College. I went to Tomball, Willow Chase, Cy-Fair, Fairbanks, every one of them that existed. I went to all of them. But I was at Lone Star, and I had no friends. Because I'd been in a lifestyle just months before that I could not get out of, and I knew the only way was to remove all of those relationships. So I went from having a ton of friends to having none. And I remember as I started to pursue Christ and started to get to know him more and really want to make him a part of my life, I remember seriously being attacked because I would look around and say, there is nobody like me. There is nobody in college that actually cares about God. I am absolutely alone. And it was probably one of the lowest moments of my life because I felt like I was alone. Then came an opportunity. And I started coming to this church, and I got plugged into Bible study, and I met some friends that were my age, which was unheard of at the time. And they loved God. And we became, to this day, some of the best friends that I've ever had. He will attack every moment. We need each other. Some of us, let's see how this goes. Some of us, we love the fight, right? Some of us, I'm not going to hit anyone. Man, when the gloves come on, it's like a whole new world. It's a whole new world. This is your ring. Right? You start, and I love this, right? You just feel, look how big these make my hand. I just feel bigger. My muscles grew because these are on. And you start going, yeah, bring it on. And you start thinking about, man, I'm fighting, dude, I'm in the fight. And we're not punching people, all right? I want you to hear me. But you start thinking about your friends and you start going, man, my boy over there, he is struggling with drugs. Man, I'm coming, dude. And you start fighting for each other. You start stepping away. You say, no, that relationship, that guy, he does need to get knocked out. You need to get away from him. He's not good. And we'll step in front and we'll start fighting for each other. All right, that's good. Some of us, we love to fight. Others of us, the fight's not our thing. And that's okay. Some of us, we see the fight and we go, okay, I'm sorry. Have a good day. And you're not weak. We just don't like to fight. But you see how those two come together? Because the ones that like to fight are the ones that step in. They're the accountability partners. They're the ones that grab you by the hand and say, no, I'm not letting you go here. I'm bringing you here with me. And then the other ones that don't like to fight, they calm the people like me down. Because we get all excited and we just think we can fight the world and we end up in situations that we shouldn't be. And they come alongside and say, hey, whoa, wait a minute, come with me. You see how they mesh together? So make no mistake about it, we need each other. If we are going to stand firm, we need each other. Last point. If we're going to stand firm in this fight, we must keep our faith. We must keep our faith. There will be times when everything seems to go wrong. And the truth is, you did nothing. You did nothing to deserve it. You did nothing to start it. But everything seems to come crashing down. And almost everyone in this room, I believe, has been in that moment. Maybe you're in it right now. And you look around and you hear me up here and you go, man, I love how you're talking about the fight, but you don't understand. I'm in the fight. I am going down. I am getting attacked. Let me tell you something. We must keep the faith. It is easy when things go wrong, when things go down, to look around and say, who am I going to blame? And 9 times out of 10, most people don't want to admit it, but the first place we look is up. Because we go, you did this to me. You allowed this to happen to me. And we start letting that faith start to slip. Doesn't mean you're not a believer. I don't want you to take that the wrong way. But we start to lose faith in this God that's given us so much. We must keep our faith. At Underground, by the way, just so you know, this today, given this Thursday, is our 2-year anniversary since we started Underground. You can cheer for that. That's right. 2 years. But I'm going to tell you, we've been blessed over the 2 years to do some major events, some great stuff. But there was one, our first big event. We called it the Underground Relaunch. How many people just remember that day? How many of you guys were here? That's awesome. That's awesome. Not many of you at all. Great. Okay. I guess I've been talking too much and scaring them away. But we decided, man, to launch this deal. We're going to do it right. Man, we're going to make business cards, and they're going to look awesome, and people are going to see this card, and they're just going to want to flock to this place because it's awesome. And we're giving away free Chick-fil-A for a year to the first 100 people that showed up. So who would say no to that? But so we were so excited. And so I had actually gotten hurt. For those of y'all that are here, you remember this. I'd busted up my knee, so I was at home like this. And I thought, I can't do anything else. I feel like I'm letting my ministry down, so I'm going to pull up my computer and make a business card. So, man, I started working on this card. I worked on it for days, all right? We sent the card in to get printed. It was going to come just in the nick of time. We would bring it to Underground, and we would pass it out to everybody. Everybody's going to be so excited. It's going to be awesome. And so I'm sitting at my apartment, and I'm waiting for the card that was supposed to be here the day. And it never came. I was like, darn it. So I got mad, and I called them. I said, what's going on? They said, no, we sent it. It should be at your house. It says it's delivered at your house. So I went outside and looked again. Look, I'm telling you, it's not here. I lifted the mat. There's nothing. So the next day, I come outside, and on my doorstep, in a plastic bag, like a grocery bag, are all the little business cards. Someone had taken them and sliced every one of them right down the middle. I have a whole box here. You can come look up it afterwards. Even the box was sliced. Like, who does that? Who has the time to sit there and cut every card? And I remember I called some of my leaders over, and I was kind of laughing at the time after I got over it and thought, man, how can I find this person? But I got them over, and I said, guys, like, we just dumped it on the floor, and we're like, let's just, maybe it's only a couple of them. And it wasn't. Every single card had been cut in half. And I remember that was the first day in this ministry that we looked at each other and said, Man, this is serious. When you become a believer, when you start doing things for God, this little guy thinks he can come up and attack us. Make no mistake about it, guys. He will do it. He will use anything. Last week, great example. Great example. Castro got sick. Man, Lord love him. That's okay. We all understand. But it's terrible timing. We needed him to get sick next week. That's how he works, though. Do you get that? He doesn't wait for the right moment when everything is bad. He waits for the perfect moment when everything's good, and that's when he attacks. And it is easy. It is easy to lose your faith. It is easy to get frustrated. It is easy to look up there and go, tell me what you're doing because I don't understand. You're not supposed to understand. You're not supposed to understand. But you trust that in this fight, he gives you strength. I'm going to read you this last scripture, and then I'll wrap it up. I'm getting excited, and I need to stop so I don't bore you guys. Psalm 18, verse 31. Let me read this to you. And let me tell you, okay, if this passage doesn't make you just want to jump out of your chair and don't hit somebody, but if it just makes you should want to jump out of your chair. This is what it did for me, okay? Psalm 18, verse 31. David speaking. For who is God except the Lord? Who but our God is a solid rock? God arms me with strength, and he makes my way perfect. He makes me as sure-footed as a deer, enabling me to stand on mountain heights. He trains my hands for battle. He strengthens my arm to draw a bow. You have given me your shield of victory. Your right hand supports me. Your help has made me great. You have made a wide path for my feet to keep me from slipping. I chased my enemies, and I caught them. I did not stop until they were conquered. I struck them down so that they could not get up. They fell beneath my feet. You have armed me with strength for the battle. You have subdued my enemies under my feet. You placed my foot on their necks, and I have destroyed all who hated me, all the haters. They called for help, but no one came to their rescue. They even cried to the Lord, but he refused to answer. I ground them as fine dust in the wind. I swept them under the gutter like dirt. Let me tell you something. The next time you have a bad day, the next time you have a tough time, the next time you feel like this little guy down here, he's very little, by the way, he's down there thinking he can attack you. You pull out your Bible and you read that passage, and you be reminded that we serve a God that is huge. Fast forward to Revelations, you will see this fight that we're in now, we will win. He knows what he's doing. He will attack you. And he'll attack you where it hurts. But God is bigger, and you remember that. You look around this world, and you see a bunch of hurting people. We live in a very hurtful world. But God did not leave us here flailing around with nothing to do and no way out. He sent us, and he equipped us to help and to make it better. When you become a believer, understand we are lacing up gloves. We are lacing up shoes. We are putting on the jersey. We are standing toe-to-toe, nose-to-nose with Satan. But we will win because he's bigger. And he's better. And he will give you everything you could possibly need. And one day, if we will keep planning ahead, if we will stick together, and if we will keep our faith, we will sing the praise just like David did in this psalm. Believe that tonight. He is real, and he is in your life no matter what you're going through. Now I promise you, if he is for us, who in the world would dare stand against us?